Hey, hey, hey. Good evening. This is your girl, Coach O, founder and CEO of Action Speaks Volume Incorporated. I am known as your procrastination strategist, behavior change expert. I help you to build unshakable confidence, stop procrastinating, and you got it. Get your dreams out of your head into your life. I am so excited to see you on today. I pray that you have had an amazing day. As you come on, just say good evening. Speak, share this out with your friends, your frenemies, your naysayers, your haters, all of them. Share it out. Hit the share button. Invite someone. Go ahead and invite someone. And I'm just glad to be here today. So we're going to give you a few minutes to come on. Super excited about being here with you. And I know some of you all are preparing for your holidays and different sorts of types of things, but I encourage for you to be safe, and um, be safe, do things, you know, um, wisely. Yeah, wisely. Let's be wise. So go ahead and invite someone. Go ahead and hit the share button. Super excited again to be here. Good evening to you, to you, to you, to you. So you see what the title of this live feed is. And the title is, Are You Living by Default or Are You Living by Design? And we've talked about this before, but it's noteworthy in talking about it again because you see so many people that still live by default, living lives that someone else has designed for them, living, lives by the status quo, thinking that this is the way it's always going to be, this is the way it have to be, and all these different sorts of types of things. But we know that, well, I want you to know that's not true. That is not true. I think a lot of times we settle for that and accept that because we really don't know what the alternative is. And sometimes we feel like, I'm afraid to take the risk. I'm afraid of the unknown. But that's why we have to walk by faith in that walk. But we should not settle for a thing that we do not want. And that's why for me, I want to be somebody's solution and not their problem. I want to be celebrated and not tolerated. I am not going to just be in something and say I'm in something the sake of being in something. We kind of talked about that a little bit yesterday in this in between stuff. You're in between, you're kind of stuck in between. But we have to make up our mind and say, this is definitely what I want. Now we know that to get what we want, there's a process to get there. And so, but we don't have to camp out and move there and figure, one day, someday, instead of us saying, this is a plan, this is about how long it may take me to do it, and all these different sorts of types of things. So we want to just make sure that we are very clear on what it is that we want. Therefore, we can design the life that we want. Have you ever, decided that you was gonna um, renovate or redecorate a room or something? When you did that, when you redecorated or redesigned it, it should have been what you wanted. If you was changing it, it was probably something that you didn't want, or some upgrade, or some need that was the reason for the change anyway. But it wouldn't make sense. It's almost and another example that I would give. I remember one time I went and got I had a car on my dream board, and it was a sportish style Toyota Camry, and it had all the bells and whistles. It was a limited edition, and it was a really nice car, and it was on my vision board back in like 2015. And so when I got to the lot, and I had some stuff that was going on. Didn't have the very best credit, but I didn't have really bad credit. And then I knew I had the income, and so I called, and I was like, I called because you know what they do. They sit you in a little room, have you call, and they running your credit up, doing all them inquiries on your credit and all this stuff. But I wasn't even gonna go through that this time. I said, you know what? This is my information, and I'm like, okay, Can you help me or not? So when I get over there, they thought they was gonna play them same games, and I'm thinking, no, I don't have time. I'm getting ready to go to um, I got to pick my kids up from the Boys and Girls Club, and I'm heading to a choir rehearsal, and so I don't have all day to sit over here. And so I went over there, and they first come out with a plain white car. It was a Toyota, but it was like a plain white. I said, I said, no, that's not what I want. That's not what I seen. Listen, that's not what I seen. We're talking about default in design. That's not what I seen. That's not what I'm leaving here with. So I said, no, I don't want that. And so I guess the salesperson, they was gonna sell me a car, but they was gonna give me, like, it was like so plain. It was white, and I'm not a white person. I like color. I am a color. Like, every room in my house is a different color. I got red, I have orange, I have black, I have purple, I have yellow, pink, green, brown, and I mean, like, literally it's like a crayon up in here. But I like color. I do not like white. And so I was like, I said, no, that's not what that's not what and I'm thinking, you know, I could have left there with that, but I'm thinking, I am the one that's going to have to drive this thing. I am the one that is having to pay for this thing. I'm not leaving here with something that I don't want. There's a lesson into that. That was the only reason I said all that, to say this. There is a lesson in that. Don't leave with something that you don't want. Don't leave with something that you don't want. You don't even have to upset your nerves, or even talk about having a have a excuse me, a conversation around a thing that you don't want. And how many of you get in relationships that you don't want, and all you do about the relationship the whole time you in it is complain about the other person to your friend, or to your coworkers, or to your this. Don't leave with something that you don't want. You have to be crystal clear on your desires. And when the picture that you see is not what you saw, you need to leave that where that is. You cannot allow, for no reason, for that to change what you want. You can't let lonely be it. You can't let broke be it. See, a lot of us have changed our mind on what we desire, and start getting these things that we don't want, because we let some outside force tell us that if we don't get this, then we won't have nothing. But you know what? You got to have that mind that, if I would rather have nothing if I'm not going to have what I want. I'm not going to settle for, and a lot of you get in these relationships, and you have these lives, and you're doing these different sorts of types of things, because you're thinking, if I don't do this, then I won't be able to do anything. So that's how we're kind of stuck in between things, thinking that I'll just settle for this until that comes. Versus you thinking that, no, I'm not going to stop going until that is here. So we're going to have to, good evening, Belinda. Thank you so much for joining. We have to change the way that we think, and stop settling for the thing that we don't want, and design the life that we desire. I'm going to say that again. We have to stop settling for the things that we do not want, and design the life that we desire. Does that require work? Yes, it does. Does it require commitment? Yes, it does. Does it require you to take action? Yes, it does. But why leave with something that you don't want, and the whole time you have it, you miserable? You can use that in so many different areas of your life. You get on a job that you don't like. You hate to get up. You thanking God that it's Friday. It's a miserable Monday. It's hump day Wednesday. It's whatever Tuesday, and whatever Thursday. All these different sorts of types of things. When you cannot even put yourself into that. When you start making choices of authority to say, you know what? I thought this was something that I wanted. But now, since I have an up close view, and I kind of see what this is about, this is not what I want. You got to do the same thing with that with people. Don't be jumping up in stuff that you figure it's 50 things that you don't like about them. It's one thing that you do, and you're gonna be miserable for the 40. I mean, you're gonna be miserable. You got 49 things that's not in your favor. 49 things that's not in your favor, but you gonna choose to be miserable over the 49 for the one? No, you're gonna have to say, no, I'm gonna have to wait because that ratio is not working for me. Now, if that was like a conversion ratio for something, I don't know what ratio, but that wouldn't work for me. If you need 50 and 49 is not in your favor, you need to leave that thing where it is. But see, I'm gonna tell you what the problem is. The reason we have lives that are by default versus design is because we don't have patience. We don't have patience. We don't have patience to, to work the process and for, things to happen in due timing. Good evening, well, Pastor Stanley. We don't have patience. And so when we want a thing right now, good evening, Elegance. Thank you so much for joining. Share this out. We don't have patience. And so we'll end up settling for a thing. We'll end up settling for the first thing that we get. And I don't know if you was on here when I first started talking about that car that was on my vision board. I know what was on my vision board. I know what was on my vision board. I know what I was looking at twice a day. I know what I was looking at every time I looked on my dresser. Then when I get there, you're going to try to give me a plain white car. No, that ain't it. That's not the one. And I wasn't going to leave there with something that I wasn't happy with. And so we have to stop being in relationships that we're not happy with. We're going to have to stop settling for lives that we're not happy with. And it's your life. You have authority over your life to design it the way you want. It's not about somebody else's expectation. A lot of you are afraid to succeed because you're worried about somebody else getting upset because they feel like you're doing better than them. So you'll shrink back. You got to stop shrinking back because you got somebody that you're close to feel like, oh, she thinks she's somebody. Oh, he think he's somebody. You ought to think that you're somebody. So you got to say, do I want to live a life that I've designed or do I want to live a life by default? I'm just another number. And see, look, if you're just another number and there's nothing unique and special and amazing about you, when you think about that thing, why would I pass? We kind of talked about the passengers on the bus last night. Why would I pass the other 14 rows to come way back there to you? What's different? What is different? And why is it that you feel like you got to live a life like everybody else? We spend so much time trying to fit in. That's all the thing that part of bullying and all that stuff come from. We try to fit in where we were supposed to be standing out. I don't have to fit in. The first thing when there's an event, you go into the first thing, what's the colors? You want to make sure you don't want to step up in there if it's an all white affair and then red. I remember I was at an event and the little t-shirts, they was black. And I had a red t-shirt. Red is my favorite. But I figured I was buying it, so I bought what I wanted. I mean, because I knew that I was going to have to wear that shirt after the event. So why would I buy something that I don't generally wear? And so I had someone want to know, well, I know you're not buying that for this. I said, well, I am. And I did. But we have this mindset that we have to please everybody. You got to please everybody. So it's a question that I want you to ask yourself, not for me, but for you. Are you designing your life? Or are you living a defaulted life that somebody, it's just automatic? You know how sometimes you have like a default on your screen? If you don't set it right, you may have that thing on there temporary, then it go back to the default. You figure, I don't even like that background, but you didn't set it so you can have a permanent, background. And that's the way we are. You're not setting your life so you can have a permanent design life the way you want it. You have a growth spurt, as we like to say, or you have a good spurt, and then after then you quit. After that, you quit. You make a few sales and you quit. You make a few calls and you quit. You make a few dollars and you quit. You can't quit like that because we never make it to success. You got to keep on doing that thing because one, there's upgrades, there's changes, there's newness, there's new innovations and all these different sorts of types of things. So you never get there. You got to make up in your mind that you're going to keep on and keep on and keep on. And when there's better, you want to go higher and you want to be better. But a lot of us, we figure, okay, when I make five, I'm done. I did that. I did that. You did something, but you ain't did that. You did something, but you haven't did that. We will begin to push ourselves, but we will not push ourselves farther because we're living a life by default. A lot of you are afraid of success. Yep. You're afraid of success. You are just as afraid of success as you are of the fear that is hindering you, for you to just go all in, for you to go all out, for you to go big. You playing this small. I made a commitment with myself about 2 weeks ago. I said, I'm not, good evening, Margie. Thank you so much for joining. I said, I'm not playing small for nobody. No more. No more. You have to design the life that you want. Who said? I used to tell my workers, according to who and who said. When you really start thinking about the things that we think about and the things that we say, who said that? And where did they get it from? What do they have and what are they doing? We listen to some of the most craziest advice from people. And the ones that's generally critiquing you are not even qualified. They're not even qualified. They're not doing what you're doing. They're not doing. And it's not about having what you have. Because see, you have what you have as a result of what you're willing to do. Some people ain't willing. I ain't talking about doing nothing crazy. You ain't got to be sleeping around and swinging down no pole. I'm talking about you are willing to get up and grind early in the morning while they still asleep. That's what I'm talking about. You're willing to stay up late. You're willing to make the calls. You're willing to go. Some of your stuff may be where you're going door to door or you're just asking questions. I don't know what it is that you do, but you're willing to do something that they're not willing to do because they didn't put in their mind, I wouldn't be doing that. I wouldn't be asking nobody. I wouldn't be. It's proof that you wouldn't be. But that's how you live a life of design and not by default. And I mean, even when I saw that, I keep seeing all these messages and all this stuff on, on the $600. That ain't even nothing to be talking about. There's nothing to be talking about. And I know for somebody, I'm gonna have to call them back. For somebody to think, if you was in a crisis, and if you was in distress, and if you was really suffering, if a person was without work and can't do this and that and the third, what is $600 gonna do? I'm just saying. I'm just saying, and I know for some people you be grateful for it. Yeah. I'm not even caring about that really. Like really, I'm not. Because like really, first of all, it's like an insult. For those that really need it, that is like an insult. But we have to stop putting our lives into the hands of somebody else to dictate how we gonna eat and how we gonna live. That's where this life of default comes from, when we allow somebody else to dictate our destiny. I may not want to go where you're trying to take me. I may not want to go there. So we have to make up our mind that I am going to design my own life. I am going to design my own life. You got everything that you need. You're gifted. There's a lot of stuff that you can do that you're not doing. The reason that you're not making is because you stopped doing what works. Have you ever, and I'm guilty. Have you ever tried something and it worked and then you stopped and started trying something else? Think about that thing. You stopped doing a thing that was working and started trying something else because you saw something that looked attractive. It was more colorful. Somebody was telling you about it. But you already doing a thing that is working, but you will stop doing that and try something else. We have to design the life that we desire. Live your life by design and not by default. And see, when you design your life, when you become the architect of your life, when you start guilty of that, Yes. When you start when you start designing your own life, you can make that thing, you can custom make, you can tailor make, you can tailor make your life. Tailor make it. We have had things, well, I'm gonna go and try this person, and I'm gonna go over here and try this person, and I'm gonna go over here and try this thing, and I'm gonna try this thing. Why not stick with the thing that got you started and got you working versus trying to do something that and it reminds me, of the cliche that they say, the grass is not greener on the other side. Because see, a lot of times we have stuff that looks so attractive from afar. It looks good. It looks real good from afar. But when you get up close on that thing and figure, this ain't what I was thinking. This was not what I was expecting. You can look at how they have their marquees and how they have their how how when you go to like McDonald's and Burger King and all these different places, how they had that stuff. They had a burgers and all this stuff. It be looking so good. But then when you get your stuff out your bag, it don't look like that. It doesn't look like that. So you gotta ask yourself, am I living by default, thinking that the life that I desire? Learn how to lay your own blueprint. Yes. Design your own blueprint and have that thing looking the way you want it. Not what somebody else said, this got to be like this and this got to be over here. When you start designing your life, when you put your life on a blueprint and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have this, I'm going to be this, that's amazing. A lot of people go to work every day miserable. Why? Because they went on a job. They got the job that they found and not the job that they wanted. Because see, desperation and sometimes when we're desperate, we'll do all type of things. When people are desperate, they will lose their character, their religion, and they would step all out of their selves when they're desperate. But we shouldn't wait until we get at a point of desperation. We should be working on something while we're working on something. I don't get where people want to start something when they don't have nothing. But when they had it, they did other things and so they didn't make the thing that they should have been doing priority. So they didn't prioritize. So then when they can't do, this is a tip for you. When they can't do is when they want to do. How many times have you said, well, when I get the money, I'm gonna do this and that. But then when you get the money, you do something else. This is just plain. This is for now check it out. Listen at the whole thing. This is for like my older people, right? When we're young and energetic and haven't had any diagnosis, we're not sick and all these things. When we have the energy, to maybe work long hours and maybe work a second job where we can, put up, start saving, having an emergency savings account and this and that, or, start putting in some money in our insurance policies, because that's where other people, they build their wealth and insurance policy. Insurance policies is not just about the death benefits. You can get living benefits. You can get terminal, critical, chronic illnesses and all that wrapped up in your policy. It's like a savings account. It's an umbrella. It's a savings account. But see, they do that, but we don't. But then when we get of age and have been pre-diagnosed with stuff, that's when we want to go get insurance. Now it's high. The insurance cost is high because your risk is higher, but your income is low. That's not the time to do that. You have to do that when you are not, when your risk is low, your income is high, and your ability to fund it is even better. But we do that thing backwards. We wait till we get on Social Security and SSI disability. We wait, and then a lot of people that don't understand that Social Security was never meant to replace your working income. It was a supplemental income so you're going to have to do something different. And see, for folks that's my age, by the time we get to a point by the time we get to the age that they say we can draw Social Security, There ain't gonna be no money. We done paid for somebody else's retirement. You hear me? So we have to start thinking about stop living this passive life and be active in your life while you are able, while you are energetic, while you are young. And I mean, at 40, you're young. At 50, you're young. 55, you're young. Yeah, 60 in 2020, you're young. Some at 65. You need to do something while you can. Because see, there'll come a day where you can't. And who want to be working at 70? I don't want to be working at 50. I want to retire at 50. And I'm not talking about retiring where I'm sitting around and dying. Because if you're not living, you're dying. Right? I want to live when I get 50. You know, when you think about you have worked and worked and worked, who wants to work all their life and then you have to take what you work for to try to keep your life because now you have to try to pay for your health and you got to pay for this and you got to pay for this and because you've been diagnosed with this and you got this and this and that and then you're spending all your money in co-pays and doctor's appointments and specialists and prescriptions. We got to start designing the life that we want. And when we do that by design, that's with relationships, that's with our finances, that's with our self-care. Self-care is not just about getting your head done and your feet. It's about keeping your mind regulated, elevating your mind. It's about learning something new. Self-care is the whole self. Not just your outer self, but your inner self. We have to work on our whole self. And that is by design. Because see, I'm going to tell you a way that you can live by default in your body. By always saying yes to other people and you're not taking care of the things that you need to take care of. By doing everything that everybody else wants you to do. So by the time it comes time for you to read and do the things that you need to do, you don't feel like it. Because somebody else is snagging and pulling at your time. And when it comes time for you, for self, you don't have no energy. You don't feel like it. You don't have any energy. So it's something for you to really think about. Don't sit back thinking that, we got to be in every line and we got to get every free thing. Because I want to be at a point that I'm not eligible for nothing that they give. Why? Because I am building my own economy. That I'm not eligible for nothing that they give. That's my desire. You got to first want it. It all starts with a decision. It starts with a decision to say, that's not the life that I want. I don't want to have to wait on no check every month. I made that decision back in 2000 when I was on SSI disability because I figured what they was giving me, I had more in my head and I can do more with this thing right here. As my grandmother said, that little pink thing, because I know what my gift is. So why would I settle for that? Why would I let somebody else design my life by giving me a fixed check every month and determine what I can and cannot do? Good evening, Shanti. Thank you so much for joining. Why would I let somebody else design my life? They're not in my dreams. They're not in my dreams. They're not in my heart. They're not in my mind to know what I want. So how is it that you're going to design a life for me? Think about it. But we put our lives in other people's hands. So I want you to be really clear. Are you living by design or default? Are you settling for what people give you? Or is that really what you want? Is that really what you want? Are you listening to the lies that you're telling yourself, the self-talk, the negative self-talk, whether it's consciously or unconsciously? Are you listening to the lies of people around you, the negative naysayers, the haters, those that are jealous and envious of you? Are you listening to the lies that they're telling you that it's not possible, that you will never be able to do that you are not enough? Those are lies from the pit of hell, and you need to send them back where they came from. Because you should stop letting people ask you questions that don't make sense. They don't make sense to me when you asking me lying questions. That don't make sense to me. You have to say that this is the life that I desire, and I'm going to design it. I'm going to design it. I know what I want. I'm going to design it. I'm going to create the plan that's necessary for me to do it, and I'm going to do it. I am going to do it. A lot of us are not doing it because we quit. We quit too soon. We quit because we're impatient. We quit because we think it's not possible. We got people that's laughing at us and they looking at us and they lying on us, and then we get frustrated. And so we quit. It doesn't matter about them laughing, it doesn't matter about them looking, and it doesn't matter about them lying. Design the life that you desire. You shouldn't live a life that you do not want on no occasion for nobody. Live the life of your dream. I'm gonna live my life. I am going to live the life of my dream. Look, I'm getting ready to get out of here. I'm going to fix me something to eat. I feel like I want some pancakes and some bacon. And so I'm going to go and fix me some pancakes and bacon. And I think I'll have a cup of coffee with that. The simple small things. Sometimes we tell ourselves that's the we give ourselves, you can only eat dressing for Thanksgiving, and you can only do this for, you can do whatever you want. When you design your life, you can do whatever you want. Get out of this traditional mindset, get out of the box, and live your life unscripted. Planned, but unscripted, because it's planned by your design. It is planned by your design. So look, if you're new to me, this is your girl, Coach O, founder and CEO of Action Speaks Volume Incorporated, known as your procrastination strategist, behavior change expert. I help you to build unshakable confidence, stop procrastinating, and you got it. Get your dreams out of your head into your life. I'll talk to you later.